Hello, I'm Paul Carroll, technical writer for Digital Photo Magazine, and welcome to part 2 of this month's Digital Darkroom video tutorials on presenting mono images. In this second part of the tutorial, I'll be showing you how to use the film rebate scans that we're giving away free on this month's CD. Printing the spool or the rebate of a film used to be a really popular technique in the traditional darkroom, and was often employed on arty black and white shots. But just because we're shooting digital, there's no reason why we shouldn't really take advantage of this technique. And we can do that by using some scans of these traditional film types. The great bit is they're really easy to use, and I'll show you how it's done. Start by opening the image rope.jpg of this month's CD, or open any of your own arty black and white images that you'd like to use. Next, you want to open one of the film rebate scans. We've scanned in 5 different types of film, and each of the films has an image area with different dimensions. So have a look through the film rebates folder within the start images folder on this month's CD, and pick out the film rebate which best suits the image that you're going to use it with. In this technique, I'm going to use the film rebate 6x7.jpg, so open that off the CD. Now, with the film rebate scan that you want to use up on screen, hold down the Control key, press the letter A on the keyboard, then hold down the Control key and press the letter C to copy all the pixels to your computer's memory. We can now minimize the scan, and with our image on screen, hold down the Control key and press the letter V to paste the film rebate on top of our image. I'm just going to zoom our image in a little bit, just so it's a little bit bigger and we can see what we're doing a little bit better. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is just create a hole in the center of our film rebate to bring through the image from the layer underneath. You can see, if you have a look at our layers palette here in the top right hand corner, we've got the film rebate scan sitting on layer 1, and the image is on the background layer, which is underneath. So if we delete this grey section in the center, we'll bring through that image from underneath. Now we can do that really easily just by making a selection of this grey area and then deleting it. And we can make a selection using the magic wand tool. So go over to the toolbox and select the magic wand, which is about 1/3 of the way down. Now we need to configure our magic wand tool, and we can do that up in the options bar. First, we need to set the tolerance using values between 0 and 255. And by setting a lower tolerance value, the magic wand tool will only select a range of colours with a very similar colour to the pixel that we click on. Whereas setting a higher value will select a broader range of colours. So we can set the tolerance quite high in this example because we want to select the grey pixels which are set against the black border. So a tolerance of 100 will be fine. We also want to make sure the anti-alias box is ticked, because that will give us a nice sharp edge to our selection. And by ticking the contiguous box, the magic wand tool only selects adjacent pixels of the same colour. And as we want to select all the grey pixels in our film rebate scan, it's a good idea to have this ticked. So with the magic wand set up, just simply click in the centre of the image, and you can see that's now brought a marching ant selection up accurately around the grey square. So to delete the square, all we need to do is press the backspace key on the keyboard. Not the delete key, but the backspace key. And that will delete the grey square, and as you can see, we're now bringing through some of the image from underneath. But obviously, there's a problem. The image underneath is too big, and that's because it's been shot on a 12 megapixel camera, and the image dimensions are larger than A4. So we're going to have to resize our rope image so that it fits within the film rebate. So I'm just going to hold down the Control key on the keyboard and press the letter D, which will deselect my marching ants. Then over in my layers palette, I just need to click on the background layer. Then holding down the Control key and pressing the letter A, I select all of my image. And then still holding down the Control key and pressing T on the keyboard, I bring up our transform bounding box again. Now I don't want to alter the proportions of our image, so make sure in the options bar at the top that we've got constrain proportions ticked. And if I hold down the Alt key on the keyboard, and then if I hover my mouse over one of the corner control handles, you can see that I get the double-headed arrow. and then by holding down the Alt key on the keyboard, clicking with my left mouse button and then dragging the transform bounding box inwards, you can now see that I'm resizing the image underneath and it's fitting better within my film rebate scan. Now I need to be a little bit careful here because you can see at the bottom of the scan I've transformed the image so that it's now not quite fitting within it. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to reposition the image, and I can do that by clicking in the center with my left mouse button, holding down my mouse button and then moving the image. I'm just going to move it down once and then I'm going to move it over to the left a little bit just to reposition the rope in the center of the frame. There we go. That's now looking pretty good. So once you're happy that your image is fitting nicely within the hole in the center of the scan, all we need to do is just click on the green tick in the bottom right hand corner and then that accepts our transform. Okay, there's just one last step to do now. Because we were working with a 12 megapixel image, the file that we have on screen is no longer the dimensions of A4. So if we tried to print it on an A4 printer, we'd get into a mess. So what we're going to do is we're going to crop the image back to the dimensions of A4. Now all the scans that were given away on this month's CD have already been resized to A4. So all we need to do is crop back to the original size of the film scan. And that's really easy to do too. Just hold down the Control key on the keyboard and over in the Layers palette, click on the image thumbnail on Layer 1. And you can see that brings up a marching ant selection around the film rebate. Now all we need to do is go up to the image menu and down to crop, and that automatically crops the image to the dimensions of our film scan. If I deselect the marching ant and go up to image, resize, image size, you can now see that if I enter a resolution of 300 pixels per inch, we now have the document size, width and height dimensions of A4. So we can print a really high quality A4 print on a standard A4 printer. And that's it. We can simply save our document now as a Photoshop.psd file to retain the layers, or go up to the layer menu, down to flatten image and save as a JPEG. I hope you've really enjoyed this month's framing and presentation video tutorials. Give them a go using the start images, film rebate scans and blackline borders that were given away on this month's CD, and then get framing your own images in the future. Okay, cheers.